Now I'm worn out. Hey guys, how's it going? Just goofing around. Existential jam, blues and C for you. Welcome to Homeskoolin number 34, I think, right? Little Tommy Bukovac, your host from Cleveland. See, the light, it's gone. I had, Brian Schneider didn't come over and get it, but his guy that helps him, Lonnie, came over and fixed it. Don't be too sad. I think it's better without it, personally. Plus, there's no noise. The RF is gone, which is nice. Yeah, so there's that thing with the shoulder of the pick, remember? With the... Get your wrist going side to side like this. Don't get tight and go like that. It's more like a rotating wrist motion. Super loose up here, right? I'm in a rock and roll mood today. I don't know why. But I got some good stuff in the viewer comment bin. Let's see what we got here. One guy said, in your background story, notice, no hey Tom. In your background story, is there any music school? You seem to know a good amount of theory. I talked about this a little bit in previous episodes. I did take guitar lessons for a little while when I was real young in Cleveland from this guy, jazzer guy named Ray Ferris was his name, real good guy. But I didn't even bring a guitar to the lessons. I remember on the first lesson, I played a little bit for him, and he was like, "Oh, you already play better than I do, but I could show you some theory, right?" So it wasn't even about playing guitar. I would just bring a notepad, and he would show me some, theory. He sent me home with a stack of jazz records one time when I was probably 13 or something. All your classics, Tal Farlow, Pat Martino, all that stuff. I gotta be honest, it didn't hit me much when I was a young kid. None of that stuff. Everything I put on at the time sounded the same to me. I was young. I'm starting to appreciate jazz a bit more now as I've gotten older, but back in those days, the only thing that grabbed me in that whole stack of records was Stefan Grappelli's violin playing on the Django records. I thought that had some passion, some fire, And I still do. That's good stuff. But yeah, it was more like just a couple years of, sort of cursory theory, But most of the stuff I learned, like I said, I've just stolen from piano players and guys that I've worked with that knew a lot more than me, you know. Here's another one. This guy named Teddy Boy, he said, haha, this bloke always looked like he's just crawled in from a week-long bender in Amsterdam. Nice, true, especially today. You know, just still got the bedhead. But yeah, you know, it's not about the, that's not what homeschooling's about, man. It's about playing guitar and talking about music, right? Who cares? I wanted to also thank a guy for turning me on to a really cool video that I've watched like 5 or 6 times and I really like it. Remember how I mentioned Tattoo by the Who in a previous episode? He sent me a cool version of Pedra Hayden doing it. I think that's how you say it. Pedrahaden doing Tattoo, all with vocals. Check that out. Man, is that fun. That's really cool. Thank you for that, man. Here's another one. Hey, Tom. So was there a point where it hit you that being a session guy was really working out? Like after Keith Urban's Golden Road or something like that? Have there been songs that you played on that surprised you on the charts and done better than you thought they would? Yeah, that has happened. There's been a couple times when I was working on some song, you know, and never thought it would go anywhere, and sure enough, you hear it on the radio. It's amazing. And vice versa. You know, sometimes you think it's going to be great and everybody's going to love it, and no one ever hears it. But when I think back to my early days of sessions, I will say that my career seemed to take off when Dan Huff started hiring me. I remember he used me on one movie date, like for a TV show or movie soundtrack thing, and that was in the early 2000s. And then after that, everybody started calling me because they were all looking at him, you know. They were all all the other producers were in Nashville were all watching him very closely, and if he started hiring another guitar player, they thought, well, he must be pretty good then, you know. So then I sort of rose out of total obscurity into being like a pretty popular session guy back in those days, you know. And then that ran its course, and then right around, you know, I don't know, 2015, 16 or something, I started getting into other things. Like I got pretty tired of the session thing. I got pretty burned out, and I started doing like Trigger Hippie and the Vince Gill tour and then the Walsh thing, and had a music store for a while, you know. But now I'm back in the session world, and I have a different attitude about it now. I feel like I appreciate it a lot more at this age than I did when I was younger. I was a little crabby about it when I was younger. I was pretty fried. Wasn't really appreciating the good things about it. But I think when you get a little older in life, you realize that those are your friends and those are good people that you're working with. And you know, when I wasn't doing sessions, running into one of your old session buddies at the grocery store is not the same as playing with them, you know. And I am glad to be back with those guys because they're good dudes and it's fun to hang around with them, you know. They're funny, really funny guys. All right, let's see what else we got. Tom, love your stuff, man. I'm a school music teacher, guitarist in a cover band. Question, what was your rig like gigging in the early days, the early teenage days? I bet you got a million stories. Yeah, you know, my first guitar that I had was the only guitar I had, well, my first good guitar, I should say. It was a 1979 Les Paul Deluxe that my family bought for me for Christmas 1980 when I was 12 years old, right? Black, mini humbuckers. It's the only guitar I had for many, many years, and man, I wore the paint off that thing. Just played it incessantly, you know, because I practiced a lot in those early days, you know. And I had a Lab Series L5, man. That was my jam. I played in my mom's bar, and all those bars that I mentioned the other day. Les Paul through a Lab with no effects. I didn't even know what pedals were until much later. But I remember one of the coolest rigs I ever had in the early days was, I was in this heavy band, I can't remember the name of it, but we were playing covers, and we were, you know, there's got to be bigger clubs than we were playing. And I had a really cool rig. I had three amps, no pedals still, but 3 amps, and I had 2 AV boxes. So I had, like Eric Johnson does now, I suppose I was doing back then, I had 3 different sounds. I had an old Marshall for like a crunchy rhythm, and I had a Roland jazz chorus for clean, and then I had a PV special that was really fuzzed out for lead, and I would just switch back and forth between them. That's all I did. That was actually really cool. I sometimes wonder why I didn't stay with that type of thing, the AB box rig. It was very cool. You just had to have a good sound, man, because that's 3 different mics, and if they were the wrong levels out in the house, you'd be in trouble, you know. But I'll tell you a funny story. When I was, you know what a Genesis yes freak I am, and all that stuff. There was this amazing band in Cleveland called Fairweather, Fayrewether, and Paul Fairweather, this amazing frontman. He did all the costumes. You know, they were amazing musicians. Paul did all the Gabriel costumes. They did, like, you know, Slipperman and Watcher of the Skies, and he had all the exact costumes that Gabriel wore, and they were very theatrical. And imagine me, 16-year-old Genesis freak, sitting in a club called the Sahara Club in Willoughby, Ohio, snuck in there, wasn't supposed to be in there, underage, watching this incredible band play Genesis covers with costumes, and they were so good. The piano player, Jeff Hutton, knew all that Tony Banks shit. They had an amazing drummer at the time, a guy named Kevin Hupp, who was killed. I don't know whatever happened to him. But they were so good. Oh my God. And the guitar player, Jeffrey Moore, I remember, he played an old blue, Lake Placid blue 65 Strat. And he stood on stage and he never moved. And he had 2 blackface deluxe reverbs on chairs that were on his side. Like he was sandwiched. He put like a deluxe on a chair on either side of him, and he stood right between them. You know, like a perfect sandwich. A guy in the middle of 2 deluxe reverbs that were about like waist high. Man, that was cool, because he was getting all this great, you know, interplay with the feedback and the guitar, and he was a really good guitar player. And I was right blown away by those guys. I mean, holy shit. I mean, check this out. So I went and saw them so many times that I learned all their original songs just by ear. And one day when I was 16, I got a phone call and said, from the keyboard player, he said, I heard there's this kid who knows all the Genesis stuff and our original songs. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, our guitar player is sick. Can you come and play a couple gigs with us? And I was like, absolutely. I could barely drive a car, I remember. Just really young kid, you know. I was nervous as could be, but I did it. I got through it, and played a bunch of gigs with them actually over the years. I played bass with them as well when their bass player couldn't do it. But that was fun. That was a good learning experience, because that was like the first real pro band I ever played in, you know. Man, how long were we here? 15 minutes? Can't help but play fast on this guitar because it just plays so good. This Jeffrey Senton Strat that I have. I think just play. Every time I pick it up, I just want to burn on it, you know. That's something that people don't think about. Okay, if you say you're playing in the key of C, hit the low 5th. G to C. G7, sharp 9, flat 9. Sharp 5, flat 9. All right, lads. I think that's it. Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything else. So I'll see you all soon, okay? Thanks for watching the show. Take care now.